as well. Don't worry if it's a bad hair day. You cannot beat me on that department anyway, so just feel free to turn on and we'll have hopefully a closer discussion. So if you can go to slide 2. Just about the very brief outline actually. Today the teams will discuss, the heads of ACCA, Turkey and Russia will discuss the first thing, I think the thing that we have been discussing for the last 2 months, I guess, the impact of the COVID-19 epidemic on global economy and business. And ACCA has a very interesting global research. I'm really looking forward to hear on that. And then we will discuss more relevant to us, what is the role of accountancy and finance professionals, what we are doing or what we are supposed to do on that. And the third one is that the digital accounting, digital skills in a transformed world, which digital accountant has been a theme for a while now, but it has never been so relevant and so urgent as of today, as we all know, because we had to adapt this immediately. And the last but not the least part is about the open discussion with ACCA members. Your questions, our answers, and again, your insights and how is it affecting your business in both countries. And I think with that, I'd like to go to the first question of the day. So who's leading the business today? I think the obvious answer, if you look at the slide, and I'm sure all of you will agree, is the COVID-19. I think at the end of February, early March, most of us were thinking this is kind of a 2-3 weeks of inconvenience. During March and April, we started to think that, well, this will take more than a year now and maybe a couple of years. But now more and more, I don't know if you feel the same, but it seems like we are now witnessing a generational upheaval of how we will conduct our business for the next decade or so. And definitely that's currently what's on our minds. We are not extremely ready as a business community about this, unfortunately. And that's why it makes extremely important what the next subject is. And if I may say, Ilya, the floor, or actually the screen is yours now.
Thank you very much, Murat, for the excellent introduction. We couldn't think of anybody to be the best facilitator, and then Murat, you appeared, and I think is the best choice. Thank you a lot. So, iyi akşamlar, sayın dostlarım. Добрый вечер, уважаемые коллеги. Let me introduce myself, Ilya Lushnikov, head of ACCA Russia. And it's a great pleasure for me to be on this call, bringing together representatives of Russia and Turkey, the two countries with a lot of similarities and close economic ties. And for a number of historical reasons, my heart belongs to both countries as well. So I'm really excited to be on this call. I will talk briefly about the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the global economy, what responses we have seen from the businesses, and I will highlight key findings from the recent ACCA survey that we held recently and devoted to the COVID. As we have some time for the discussion, and I believe this will be the most precious part, the most invaluable part of this call, we are certainly above all interested in hearing how you manage the unexpected crisis in Turkey, Russia, and your companies. Who is leading your business today, and what role finance and accountancy plays? So if I can ask to switch to the first slide. Yes, thank you. So this slide is basically designed to show that COVID has been the global challenge for all of us. I believe you will agree that it's something unprecedented that we haven't seen in the past century. And the COVID has revealed how vulnerable actually the world economy is to this invisible enemy. Millions of people have been infected with the virus, and billions are in lockdown. In Turkey and Russia are no exceptions, unfortunately. And within a very short period of time, we have seen very harsh implications of the COVID, disrupted supply chains and operations, collapse in economic activities, and estimates of falling GDP. The Russian government says it will fall by approximately 5%, and the UK Minister of Finance, for example, expects a fall as deep as 30% in Q2. So the estimations are very diverse. We have also seen dramatic rise in unemployment and transformation of employees' workplaces, and most companies have their staff now working from home, and not only advanced companies, but also huge mining and extracting companies, if we talk about this, with thousands of employees have moved to working from home. And I believe a few months ago, it was like a fiction. If I could please ask to mute the microphone. Yeah, thank you very much. So we all are working from home, and I'm also in the dacha, in the countryside house with my family. And I wonder if anybody is at all is now in the office.
Actually, just one thing. I'm not in the office. I left the office, but I want to show you the most beautiful city in the world. Just a moment. If you can show, just for your, just to forget the COVID days and forget about Corona. Just have a nice view of Istanbul, and I will just cut it just shortly.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Great. Thank you. So what we see is that most businesses are now in distress, unfortunately, be it hospitality or leisure industry, aviation, events industry, and so on. And there is a lot of uncertainty around the going concern of such businesses. They basically need to run sensitivity analysis to determine whether there is any material uncertainty on their ability to continue as a going concern. And the question is, has any businesses have any businesses got any benefits from the COVID? I think so. We can probably think of such businesses as retailers or e-commerce or maybe telecoms or biotech firms. But despite boom in their sales, they're also transforming themselves. We have also seen a global policy response with governments committed to do whatever it takes them to support the incomes and businesses and given a lot of liquidity to the markets. But the question is, to what extent is it sufficient and efficient, and has it helped your business, and to what extent has it saved the business, or are you saving it yourselves? And this is something we would like to hear during our discussion. And the last point on this slide is that recovery. We all certainly hope that recovery will come with the end of the lockdown, provided there will be no second wave shortly, and it probably be a few quarters for us to witness economic growth gather in momentum. Or maybe it lasts much longer. We don't know, so time will show. And ask to switch to the next slide, please. Right, now I would like to move to our recent ACCA member survey devoted to the impact of COVID. At the end of March, our organization conducted a survey to understand the scale of business and financial blows to organizations and the mitigation measures taken. The report draws upon 10,000 responses from ACCA members across the globe. It was 100 of countries or even more. I will show a slide with some findings of this research, though I will not be able to show all of it because I will need an hour or so, and it consists of almost 40 pages, but you will be able to read it, to look through it yourselves. But in a nutshell, what can be seen from the report is that the COVID outbreak is causing massive uncertainty and impacting organizations' ability to plan and to react irrespective of their size, sector, and country of operation. So specifically, a few findings that we'd like to highlight on this slide is that 80% of the business leaders expect a significant downturn in their revenues and profit year on year. So approximately 1/3 of organizations do not actually have any appropriate business continuity plan to respond to the crisis. And small businesses are even in a worse situation. Around 40% of them don't have such a plan. We see from the report that businesses are increasingly placing focus on cost reduction, on cash flow and employment models. So around 1/5 of the organizations have decided to defer investments, and employment and remuneration policies are also under review for them to reduce costs. And basically over 20% of the organizations mentioned they have already frozen recruitment. But what we are happy about is that most organizations have prioritized putting heightened health and safety practices in place for their employees and clients and suppliers as top measures. So it's good that this drives the business. Before we move on with more insights, we'd like to hold a quick poll. And if I can ask my colleagues to pose a few questions on the chat box, and I would like to ask everybody to choose the most relevant answers, and then we will contrast them to the findings from our survey. So, dear colleagues, right. Question number 1. So please pick 2 and most relevant answers. What business impact had your organization faced due to the outbreak of COVID-19? Is it employee productivity that was negatively affected, cash flow problems? It's reduced purchases from customers. Did you have to defer launch of new products and services, or reduce purchases, or unable to obtain supplies from preferred suppliers? Please take your time to answer the poll. It will be very interesting for us to. We have a time limit, which I guess will now expire. All right, so there are not many answers as far as I can see, so I encourage everybody to be more active, because what I see is that so 6 people said it was, if I can see, stop reduce purchases, and then cash flow problems. Okay, so thank you very much. So what we have seen from our survey is that basically the majority of the respondents specified that it was employee productivity that was negatively affected. Almost 60% of the respondents answered so, and I will show it on the next chart. And the second most popular answer was cash flow problems. So this is very much in common with the reply. So in case you do not see the chat box, please be sure to click on it, and it will appear on your right. And if I can then ask my colleagues to switch to the second question, please. This is a very short question. Since the outbreak of the COVID, have you performed a reforecast of your revenue and profit outlook? Given all the uncertainty, have you been able to do reforecast? And it will be interesting to contrast it to what we have. So time is almost up. If you haven't answered, please, it's your last chance to do so. Okay, so the majority says yes, it's approximately half, and a smaller portion no, and almost a third say no answer. What the answer that we got from our survey is that most of the companies, given the new phase of work that changed overnight, that only 53% of organizations have been able to do a financial reforecast. As such, the others were not able to do it at all. And I will also show the graph. So, and the third question, please, if I may ask. So, what measures have already been put in place or currently being actively considered in response to business please choose two or more relevant answers. So what arrangements have you made? We also have 25 seconds for these questions, and I appreciate if you click on it. Right, the time is coming to pause now, and it will be interesting, please. Yeah, so the majority have answered heightened health, which absolutely, and providing employees flexible work arrangements. This is totally, this exactly matches the results that we got in our survey. The majority chose the same. So if I can ask my colleagues then, and thank you very much for the participation. It would really be interesting to hear real cases, how your companies have responded to that. What has happened to your business? Because I know you represent diverse businesses. So this chart basically shows the findings from our survey. What does it tell us? So we can see, as I just mentioned, most respondents specified it was employee productivity, which was the most widespread issue by felt. But definitely all of these issues on your screen are interrelated, because a reduction in customer demand and purchases combined with supply disruption disrupted the whole end-to-end supply chain. And some businesses identified risk of stock obsolescence because of logistics, and some respondents saw issues already experienced contractual or financial issues. So if you are interested to look more at details and insights, I encourage everybody to look at this survey, and I believe my colleagues have shared the link. And the next slide, please. Right. So it reflects the second question that we voted. So were you able to perform a financial reforecast? So what we see is that just over half respondents suggested they have performed a financial reforecast since the outbreak of the crisis. And this is a challenging finding, in our opinion, because it is important that organizations move toward more forward-looking insights and real-time customer-centric information, and good data and good technology to access it and provide insights would be essential in the future. And the last slide that I would like to comment on is entitled Role of Accountancy and Finance Professionals. So what we can see from the current crisis is that we need to respond swiftly to all these changes. And this time is basically a spur for innovation and different ways of doing business. It's time for focus on digital and transformation changes of business models and the need to be more resilient in our organizations. And the accountancy and finance professionals have an important role to help ensure business survival, particularly if you work in small and medium enterprises. And what you can see on the left side of the screen is ACCA 7 quotient model, which sets out the essential qualities. Perhaps you have seen it because it comes from another survey that we built, that we held a while ago. But this is still very valid, and we believe that future accountants need for the future. They should be able to demonstrate the quotients to some extent or other through their work. To summarize it, along with typical skills such as technical or ethical or intelligence, the quotients include 3 softer skills that should be increasingly displayed in you during these turbulent times. And these are soft skills such as creative thinking, creative thinking, emotional intelligence, and strategic visions. But also, more than ever before, businesses need to be relying on digital accountants. This is what Murat mentioned at the very beginning. digital accountants who have a very deep understanding of the business model and data flows, and where physical is replaced by virtual, who can lead the organization beyond the current and upcoming crisis. Before I pass the word further to Phyllis, I would just like to point out that ACCA has created a COVID hub on our website where members in practice and business can find useful information on how to help the organization deal with the impact and implications of the COVID-19 crisis. So with that, I'd like to conclude my part and hand over to Phyllis, head of ACCA Turkey, who will talk about the digital accountant. Phyllis, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ilya. Hello, everybody. My name is Phyllis Demiröz, and I'm the head of ACCA Turkey and New Markets. I'm delighted and very excited to be with our members from Russia and Turkey this evening. So welcome again. Ilya has just mentioned that more than ever before, businesses will be relying on digital accountants. And now I'm going to talk about the impact of this digital transformation on accountancy and finance professionals and how they can embrace the digital shift by sharing the latest insights from our recent research report called The Digital Accountant, Digital Skills in a Transformed World. Our global research is based upon interviews and roundtables conducted with more than 4,200 ACCA members and students from all over the world. In our research, we have explored the implications of the digital quotient, which was one of the 7 quotients identified by ACCA research and which Ilya has just mentioned, to represent the skills that accountancy and finance professionals need to develop to ensure that they remain relevant during this ongoing digital transformation. Our report also identifies the digital challenges accountancy and finance professionals face and how they can maximize opportunities by becoming a digital citizen. So, businesses are increasingly using digital to serve their customers. Online services, especially during these extraordinary crisis times, have become a necessity, and they're not nice to have anymore. As a result, organizations are no longer questioning whether to digitalize and are instead focusing on how fast they can embrace the opportunities and remain relevant to their customers. This leads the organizations to spend significant amounts on embracing this digital revolution. According to Forbes' estimation last year in 2019, 70% of the organizations either have a digital strategy in place or are working on one, and 60% of companies that have undergone a digital transformation have created new business models. And the companies that gross over $1 billion a year earn an additional $700 million over 3 years from that digital transformation investment. I think that gives clues on how essential digital transformation is to organizations. And digitalization is fundamentally changing business models, which are prioritizing customer centricity. Now, the need for the accountancy and finance professionals to understand the digital impact on businesses is far higher today than it was 20 years ago. Accordingly, the way that the accountancy and finance professionals collect, verify, and utilize the increasing volumes of data is changing with the digitalization. So the accountancy and finance professionals need to be on top of these evolutions. They need to ensure that their digital skill sets develop appropriately and embrace the digital transformation with a digital mindset to better transform the organizations and better provide service to their customers. In our research, we've asked the accountancy and finance professionals to rate their expert ability in digital skills. And the table you see now on the screen is an overall comparison among all expert ability in digital skills that constitute components of the digital quotient for accountancy and finance professionals. And as you can see from the results on the graph, according to the results of this survey, 81% of the accountancy and finance professionals that took part in our survey have an expert ability level in the more traditional areas of spreadsheeting. 72% of the respondents consider themselves experts in enterprise resource planning solutions. 69% suggested that an expertise in finance system strategy is required, and 50%, half of our respondents, confirmed that they have expert ability for project management and for data governance, which will be a part of digital quotient in the near future. And what is also remarkable from the survey results is that only 20% of the accountancy and finance professionals can say that they have expertise in emerging technologies such as blockchain and artificial intelligence and machine learning. And even less percentage, only 13%, said that they had expert ability in coding, while 11% of them said that they had expert ability in robotics. So our survey reveals that the profession is comfortable with the older digital technology, such as spreadsheets. But the accountancy and finance professionals need to be more comfortable with the new and emerging technologies and tools, such as blockchain, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, and the use of coding. So today, digital has become a way of life for consumers and businesses. We can predict that the evolution of technology and the digital landscape will continue, and maybe technology will evolve into areas that we have not yet anticipated. We can also forecast that the pace of change that we have seen in recent years and even in the recent months may well be eclipsed by the operationalization of technologies such as 5G and hyper-automation. These developments signal that the business model of today is likely to be far from the business model of 5 to 10 years' time. As a result, the accountancy and finance professionals need to be future-ready and become digital native. They need to combine their deep accounting and finance skills and strong ethical principles with a new, robust, and comprehensive digital skill set, and harmonize them with business acumen to be able to provide commercial advantage to their organizations and deliver value to their customers. The digital accountants of the future will need to develop and maintain their digital quotient with continuous learning, need to take time to invest and monitor relevant technological advancements. And so it's now time for us to ask you some questions on your digital skills. So can we have the first question, please, on the poll? Okay, so can you let us know whether you believe that digital skills are essential for accountancy and finance professionals? Do you think this is not relevant, a bit relevant, relevant, very relevant, or extremely relevant? So we all know that in today's business world, digital skills are a fundamental part of the workplace, and we expect that it will remain so in the future. So this was our starting point in our survey to understand whether the finance and accountancy professionals consider the digital skills to be relevant to their profession. And so the answers show that except for one, all our members today believe that digital skills are essential for the profession. And what our global survey revealed was that 89% of our respondents to the global survey considered digital skills to be relevant or very relevant to the profession. So thank you. And can we have the next question, please? So we asked also our respondents whether they consider that they have the right skill of digital skills required in the roles that they perform. So can you please answer the same question? Do you believe that you have the right level of digital skills in your role? Okay. So we see that of those of you who have responded to this question, you all believe that you have the right level of digital skills, and which is great. It's great to see that ACCA members have confidence in their digital skills. In our research, 63% of our respondents said that they had the right level of skills required in their roles. And can we have the next question, please? Okay, so this question is, how often are you required to use digital skills in your role? Is it all the time, some of the time, rarely, never? Okay, thank you for your responses. So I can see that of our members who responded, all of them said that they either use the digital skills all of the time or some of the time. And in our global survey, 68% of our respondents indicated that they use them all the time, as they were an important component of their work. So in conclusion, as a profession, we clearly see that digital skills are an essential part of the role of the accountancy and finance profession. And if you'd like to read the whole report, my colleagues will put the link in the chat box. So you can, if you haven't already, you can read the whole report and see the responses and ACCA conclusions for this report. And thank you very much. Now I hand over to Murat back. Oh, sorry, I'm not handing over to Murat, because the conclusions that we are drawing on from this survey is that we are now living in a VUCA world. So, we have to make best use of new and emerging technology in times such as these crisis times, which has become key, and the finance and accountancy professionals will become the new strategic business leaders. So now I can hand over back to you.
Thank you, Filiz, and thank you, Leah. Very interesting indeed, very relevant. I think now it's time to answer some of the questions that you have. I don't know, I didn't have the chance to look at the chat box. Okay, so basically, one question I see is that can we say the business partnering is the new normal, and what is expected from accounting and finance professionals? Well, I think we are in such a time that to determine what is the new normal is very difficult, to be honest. But I agree with the question that I think the question implies that business partnering will be more important. That's definitely true. But what's going on around us is so unprecedented and with a level of technology that we are not sure how to be used in the future. It is not clear. But in general, I think in terms of the roles of the accounting and finance professions, I think already been discussed by Ilya and Filiz. I think we just have to be more relevant to our digital techniques, digital skills. And as far as we always had to understand the business that we are in, either we are service professionals like I am, I have to really understand what my clients are doing. And if you are working in a company as a finance professional, then you have to understand what your company is doing and with which tools, with which means. And I think that's still going on that level. And I think we have a few other questions. I don't know if there are any other questions from the current audience, but there are some other questions I want to tell. I think these are some questions in advance have been asked. I'll share my views, but please feel free to jump in and tell your side of the story. So one thing is, for example, it sounds very interesting. How much does each of the following impact your ability to establish reasonable forecasts for the current financial year? I don't know if you have been doing the reforecasting, but at least in the audit, actually, as I think Ilya mentioned, this COVID-19 is a non-adjusting event for December 19 financial statements, but it is only relevant in terms of the impacting the financials if it's a going concern issue. So all companies are expected to basically make a going concern analysis. In KPMG, we have a specific work paper developed for that. So we are actually challenging all our clients in terms of their going concern. And in general, I have already seen and signed off some audit opinions up to date. And generally, the companies are doing basically working on three major scenarios. One is so-called, they call optimal scenarios, but honestly, even the optimal scenario doesn't look so good. The realistic scenario and the worst case scenario. And as auditors, actually, we are focusing on more on the worst case scenarios, just to make sure that even that happens, if the companies will be able to continue, at least for the foreseeable or in 1 year, will continue their operation. And when we are looking and when the clients are doing, the cost side is relatively easy because companies have a very good understanding of what they can do on the cost side. They understand where they can save from, the, I don't know, business trips, trainings, some haircut on the salaries, some cancellation of marketing bonus, etc. The big unknown is mostly on the revenue side. Obviously, especially in countries in Azerbaijan or Russia, the economy is very dependent on the oil price. And oil price is not clear itself, and not only because of the COVID-19 and not only because of the demand, but also some other geopolitical issues. This is the second oil crisis about the oil surplus. Historically, every time the oil crisis happened, it was more on the basically oil shortage side. But this one is not exactly on the economical equilibrium, so it's difficult. And going back to forecast, the revenue cycle is very difficult to estimate and find out, and this is our biggest challenge as well. I don't know if anyone else have any other experience on this. Have you done your forecast in your own companies, or have you seen in your clients, and what are the major challenges, if anyone wants to share?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Great. Hello, everyone. Nasılsınız? My name is Dmitry Lopatukin. I work for Tele2. It's a cellular operator, and in Russia. And basically, there are few things I would like to share. One is that, like, as I can see, Turkey is doing great job on recovery from this illness. With about 150 hit, you have about 100,000 recoveries, which is great. We're a little bit behind in recoveries, so maybe you should share this experience with us too. As about telecoms, I would say that we are pretty fine in terms of cash flows, because generally telecoms is like bread and butter these days. Everyone needs internet, everyone needs traffic. At the same time, we have a really tremendous drop down in new subscriptions. I think your both telecom operators in Turkey experience the same thing, right? You will see really big net churn over the recent months, right? Because churn is going from 3 months behind, and gross intake, or like new subscriptions, dropped dramatically. What we can see there, we see that new connections, they shift towards online strongly. They shift from standard telecom retail stores to food retail mostly, if they're offline. And generally we have a drop like in gross intake of new customers, like 35 to 40%, depending on the region, right? As about the forecasting, for us, it's a nightmare because we really don't know when we will be able to catch back in terms of new subscriptions and how will like our revenues be going. Because so far people are using internet and so far they're replenishing their plans, right? But as there will be more jobless people, right? The more there will be probably like, drops from high ARPU usage to low ARPU usage and things like that, right? So we're not sure that we will be able, even in telecoms, we will be able to be stable. But I really think that by the year end, we will recover and catch up in terms of new connections. So people will hopefully go out of their homes and start returning to their normal life. And yeah, let's hope that it will be it. If you have any questions on telecoms, I'm ready to answer. Thanks.
Well, спасибо большое, Dimitri. Yeah, it's very nice. Well, actually, telecoms are very close to my heart. I was the lead audit partner for Turkcell when I was in Turkey. And when I moved to Russia, my first client was Rostelecom, which is like the Russian telecom equivalent of Turkish telecom for my Turkish colleagues.
We now are 100% owned by Rostelecom. We're a daughter company.
And actually, Tele2 is one of the most innovative, if not the most, telecom companies in Russia. It has always been very interesting to actually see your new services.
Thank you.
So yeah, I think I don't have any questions specifically, but if anyone wants to jump in on that subject, otherwise I can move to maybe the next question in the interest of time. I think we have 10 minutes.
I can share the experience of retail practice.
Yes, please.
So, yes, so good evening, colleagues. I hope that you are all well and safe. My name is Maria Stopakova and I'm working in retail industry. So the company called Lenta, we operate hypermarkets and supermarkets. So it's both food and non-food products across all the Russia. So we have stores in 89 cities. We have more than 400 stores. And as Ilya already mentioned, yes, retailers is one of the companies who probably see the advantage and growth of revenue in these circumstances. But I would like to say not about how we enjoy increased sales during that period, but about some social responsibility which we feel and we do our best. Because once it happens and people are closed in their home, they feel really scary. And our responsibility was to show that there is enough food, there is enough of other stuff that the people can go and buy. Because I don't know how in other countries, but in Russia and specifically in St. Pete, people was afraid that they will not be able to buy food. And it was a real crisis. And first week, we saw how people was buying lots of food with a long useful life, like all the stuff. They were buying lots and lots just because they were scared. And our responsibility was to show that you please don't be afraid, that we will do our best to make everything that you can buy the food and you are in a safe. And besides of that, then the government announced that the retailers will not be closed and we need to proceed working. There should be enough measurement to proceed working, I mean the safety one. And we were one of the first who introduced this, safety screen between you and cashier that cashier is on a safe position, and when you interact, you're kind of in a safe position, yes. Then put a special thing on the floor that the people need to have a distance of 1.5 to 2 meters, yes, between each other. Then to introduce free of charge disinfections that you can clean your hands, then you take some vegetable fruits or whatever. We also introduce a special hours for old people, because you know that old people is in a risk position, yes. We introduce a special early hours, then old people can come and enjoy a special queue, a special cash desk to make their purchases in a safe way. We also, as to the digitalization and all new IT environment, we introduce that you can use, you can go on the internet, you can see how many people in the store, and you can actually choose in which hours that day you go and do your shopping. So that is really a huge work, and we've done a lot of work for that. And we are doing even more now, because we're almost in the same situation now. And also probably for all the company who will proceed working, it was a great advantage to move the people to remote work, because that's required, of course, the equipment, the computers, the access, the equipment, etc., etc. So as to the accounting, as I'm head of the accounting finance function, we have more than 300 people, and they are working in remote from home now. And it's now like we close almost 2 periods, 2 months, as a monthly closing. Everything is okay. So I'm happy that we are in a safe position. And also I would like to mention that e-commerce increased significantly, because in Russia, I don't know what is the situation in Turkey, whether people are used to buy online or not. In Russia, it was not so popular. But now we see just a tremendous increase in internet sales. And we believe that after that period, people used to buy online, and we will keep the same level of purchases online. Maybe not the same as it now, but for sure higher as it was before that case. So that is the reality. And
yeah, sorry, Maria, thank you. I just wanted to follow up. Actually, I was just talking to a food and drinks company recently in Russia, and they told me that they are generally also operating well, and except some imports, their supply chain is good, and they can deliver to the markets like you, timely, everything. But do you feel sometimes any missings on the supply chain? For example, I think a month ago there was this issue that you couldn't find any grechka in the
no, grechka is okay. Even the normal one and the green one, which is really popular in Russia, which is much more no, but to be honest, in the beginning we have a problem with import from China, and it's both non-food, because we have 50% even more deliveries from China of our non-food products, and also we have food products like berries, for example, or frozen fish, and they would put on a quarantine, because it was in the beginning the people was not informed whether the berries or any other food could contain the virus, but now it looks like the fruits and the vegetables, they could not keep the virus inside. But still, during the first weeks, it was a stop, of course, because all the trucks which were delivered from China and the other country, they were stopped for the quarantine. And our commercial department made a great job to fulfill the new contracts with suppliers to ensure that there is no empty shelf on the store. That was really important for us. So we succeed, but you're absolutely right, because the import was questionable for the time being, and with some suppliers they have to stop.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
For some problem, yeah.
Thanks, God, it's over now. I can find everything on the shelves now.
Yeah. And thank you so much. It's really an interesting event we have today. I must say that I had my tickets to Antalya on the 10th of May. Unfortunately, it will not happen. But now I feel a little bit closer to Turkey. So I'm a little bit happy. But I hope that my vacation will move from May to September. Then you will open your grants, and you will welcome tourists in your countryside.
Yeah. Okay.
Murat Bey, if our time is not over, I can just add something with respect to tourism in Turkey.
Please.
I'm the Vice President of Turkish Board, which is the Turkish Tourism and Promotion Agency in Turkey. What we are doing now at the moment is, as every hotel and every touristic location is closed at the moment, we are planning to welcome tourists from all over the world, especially from Russia, of course, as soon as possible. And to do that, what we are trying to do is, as maybe you have heard, the Tourism Ministry has started a certification program to have the hygiene and in all the locations that we have in Turkey. So from flying to Turkey to entering into the board and also the hotels, there will be some certification that all the locations, all the facilities should have, so that everybody will be safe, including the tourists and themselves coming to Turkey, and also the employees in the facility in the hotels. So that program started last weekend, and we will be just doing everything with respect to this certification, including the audit of the certification. I mean, we will have international involvement as we are talking with big four audit firms as well to just make sure that this is an international certification, and this has been distributed to all tourism ministries in the world. So let's see. Of course, tourism is the most hit industry in these times. So hopefully we will overcome as soon as possible. Yes, it will not be May, as you have mentioned, but definitely in June, July, we will open our doors to tourists in Turkey.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. By the way, my name is Ertan Türkmen.
Thank you very much, Ertan Bey. Actually, I'm also talking to a couple of very large Turkish-owned but Russian-based tourism operators. Obviously, they're also impacted, but the Russian government made a very big favor and actually a very good policy that now, instead of giving back all the money to the customers like Maria, if Maria wants, for example, she can defer her tickets or whatsoever with even, I think, a discount based on the discussion, which is basically helping a lot for the tourism companies to survive on these difficult times, because all their planes are now grounded, their personnel having some salary haircuts, etc. So thank you.
Exactly. Thank you. Bye.
Murat, I also want to say hello both to you and also Filiz. This is me. This is Shirin also for everyone. I am also a partner in KPMG Turkey, and I have worked.
But I recruited her as an assistant 3 years ago. Yes,
both you and Filiz, I worked a long time, both of you. It's also my first tea talk on WebEx, both on WebEx and also for first tea talk in ACCA. Just shortly, maybe I can share what we are doing at KPMG Turkey for this side and what the clients we observe from clients. For me, and I have been working in KPMG for 20 years. It's the most digital time I have since I have been in business. We are using every kind of WebEx, Zoom, Microsoft, and we are very working online, but we are working more, surely. As a company like audit, tax, and advisory, I think advisory and compliance tax side is working more, but advisory type work is more a little bit, maybe they may have some kind of a little bit stop in their business. But I think in Turkey we were a little bit lucky because in our network we have a chance to see China, Italy, some kind of countries that have faced this before. So we have both from KPMG and the country side, we have benefited a lot from the experience of these networks. So that was a big help. So our management team is everyday meeting So they have some kind of precaution. And we know that, for example, we are a firm about 1,700 people. And it's really important to take quick decisions in these times. So everyday meetings, they are always considering the issues, and decisions are taken very fast. And we know that now our employees are happy about and a little bit more certain in these uncertain times. So communication is very important, and digitalization, I think, helps to take these actions more quickly. Now today, for example, we had a discussion around when to return, whether we need to return back to business or not. Now it seems that till end of May, nobody is turning back, but from starting with June, and with also some governments also, some communication and some kind of also several businesses are opening in May. So it seems that we are going to turn back by June, but it will be very gradually. And we are also considering, because the work style has changed, we are also considering whether we have those office floors that many anymore. So it's also a discussion, and everybody in a bit liked the way, and in a way it had some opportunities, and people like the way it is. But it is also difficult, especially for female employees, and there is a little bit also some kind of, I think, restructuring that needs to be done in that area also. But I think we are certainly going to a new way of life and working life. And I'm doing, for example, online yoga. I started. So it's really an interesting time, and we will benefit from it. From the client side, I also have some telecom, some tourism, some energy. Everybody is not affected at the same time. For telecommunication companies, they see it like a balance, and they see more opportunities from these because of course, some corporates are doing less, and they canceled some projects, but the more the individual side is more demanding, more products, more data, and other things. So they see they are even thinking about increasing their capex to serve the demands of the customers. So some types see this as an opportunity. And also e-commerce, also Maria mentioned, it's for retail. E-commerce, some type is not a big portion of their revenue, but now they are more, the companies that are more digital, I think, earned more in this period. So they are more successful. And it seems that investment in these areas will grow, and also that will be the area of interest. For example, for energy companies, they are not much, not the distribution ones, but the producers are not that much affected, but they are more in the area of government. But the issue is more the liquidity now at this time. The more the C-level is more concerned about the liquidity of the companies. So there seems more of the time is more on this area. And again, the revenue generation for the last bit of the year. And going concern issues, of course, we are also both for year-end, for also 2020, we are considering and working on these scenarios. These are mainly, I don't also want to take too much time of the discussion, but mainly the issues we are around both as KPMG, also from the client side.
Thank you very much, Shirin. That's very useful. Actually, to follow up your thought process, does anyone else already started to look into the post-COVID working style? Basically, we are also considering to have a more flexible regime, to be honest, to decrease the office space as well, especially for the Russian colleagues. Our offices in Moscow city is probably the most expensive place in the world, I guess. So any decrease will be a very favorable thing. Does anyone else start to look into that, consider this?
Yes, we have formed a committee and in both HR and finance, people, a subcommittee has been formed. And what we are thinking is, as I said, not everyone, and for example, the pregnant woman, some people would not be also in that people that are returning back to work. And we will start like by one floor, and we will also start by, for example, like 20%, the most urgent that needs to be in the office, but that 20% will not be in the office for the next 2 weeks, for example. Yeah. So we will work a kind of capacity, and also we need to find out like the social distance, like the 2 meters, and how to separate people. We are thinking about doors, we are thinking about the kitchen, all the considerations, how if they need to have lunch, we will have some packages, because it's also difficult to take people into the building from outside. We are thinking about transportation, because also there's a lot of junior people that are using the transportation of the company. So as of, yes, we have a plan now, and we are newly starting to communicate with the people. The plan is to start in June, so we are working on it, but there is a kind of draft plan now.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone maybe from the other businesses, the non-real sector, Russian colleagues? I know, for example, in Russia for a while there have been investments in the remote working, but not in a way that from home, but like shared service centers have been very popular. Some of my clients have actually invested in a lot in cities like Voronezh, Kazan, which are less costly compared to Moscow, still beautiful cities to live. But now with the new reality, I think the Russian company is also going to more like the home regime. But I'm interested to know if any of the members have started such discussions within the company.
I can tell about how it works in telecoms here, right?
Yes, please.
We take basically we take 3 shifts or 3 steps in terms of returning. First, only those operational people that needs to be in the fields. Secondly, those most like management and maybe some up to 50% of the team who are more or less also needed to be in the office, but not urgently, but welcome in the office. And the third part are all the rest who are doing their best at home, because basically in telecoms, at least what we experienced, we were able to switch to like home office over like I would say 2 weeks. Our IT department has done tremendous job, really good, right? We are the team of 8,000 people across Russia, and we were switched to home office like in 2 weeks. It's really incredible, like incredible work of these people, right? Of our IT and technical team. As about the office space, what you mentioned, Murat, I really start thinking of the fact that basically we proved efficiency during the home office, right? So if we chop 50% of our office space in Moscow, nothing operationally will happen. We'll be able to work in shifts or things like that, and we will have very serious savings on above EBITDA level.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think there was always this consideration. All businesses have been considering this, but to be honest, we were never sure that will it work or not. Now they put us into the boiling pot, and we understood it's working actually. I think my only concern from our side would be how we will manage mentoring the new people, because it's difficult for I mean, March, April, we already had some experienced people starting in one so-called busy season, but in the future, I don't know if absolutely we need that much space. So the team is telling me that it is basically time to wrap up. I'm really very grateful ACCA first for this. It was very interesting for me. And I'm very grateful that you guys considered me having this kind of a moderator role. And I'm very grateful to all people who joined and made comments. I hope it was also interesting for you as it was for me. I'm looking forward to, I guess, the next version of the T-Talks. Hopefully, as a guest this time, I will be invited. And I think the conclusions are clear. More or less, what we have to do is clear, and we are all managing in our industries as we should. And I think it showed us once again that humans are very adaptable kind. So I think we will survive this. And yeah, we'll see the other end sooner or later. So thank you. Please stay safe. Kendinize iyi bakın. Bereketi Sibya. Have a great evening and week.
Thank you very much, Murat. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.